Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Melkin Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 269 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning. We got Constance Sherrod in the building down in Pearl, Mississippi. We got Yolanda McKinney in Texas, Ronald Pugh in Cedar Hill, Texas, Michael Benton in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I got some special shout outs to those of you, some of y'all you'll know, but just I'll get to them. We got Dr. Rachel Edoweke in the building. We got Robin Snowden in the building. Grace Castaneda and Robin Snowden said, Harambe and Hotep back at you. Ready for Raleigh? Yeah, I'm ready for Raleigh too. We almost there, Robin. Grace Castaneda, Kyle, Texas. We got where we at? Takesha High in the building, Virginia. Nadira Coley is right in Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. Lysandra Brackens is in North Carolina. AP Patrick Lawrence is in Connecticut. Chancellor Davis, Las Vegas, Nevada. Tashika, oh man, I always mess your name up, man. Tashika Truesdale is in Atlanta, Georgia. 4AZ is in Phoenix, Arizona. Stacy Joy is in Los Angeles. And I got a comment on Stacy. Hey, Stacy, you know, a lot of people were asking me, was I feeling better? I'm gonna get into that. Matter of fact, let me hold off. I'll get to it soon, Stacy. Fatima Nelson is in Pennsylvania. Charlena Hattie, Norfolk, Virginia. Otis Kitchen is in Principal Otis Kitchen II is in Tampa, Florida. MP Jaguars, my man. Buenos dias. I appreciate you down there in Garland, Texas. Dr. Sheikah Houston, one half of Create and Educate, along with Dr. Tammy Taylor. See them every Saturday morning, 10:30, Facebook Live. Dynamite show today. They got a book out, man. They're doing big things. They got all sorts of stuff going on. If you didn't see today's session, make sure you go back and check it out. 10:30 Facebook Live, 30-minute platform. It's at 10:30. MPA Jaguars. That's Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno. That's we call ourselves the Fantastic Four. They come on at 5 o'clock Eastern time, 4 Central on Sunday. So make sure you check them out. And then Sean Hurt starts us off at 10 o'clock. The Turnaround Principle, 10 o'clock a.m. Facebook Live. So all of us are on more than just Facebook Live. I'm just saying Facebook, but like myself, Facebook, X, where we at, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Right, I want more of y'all to be checking us out on YouTube as well. So, you know, we all over the place. David Bell, Grand Rising, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Jacqueline Harriet, Nova Scotia, Canada. Principal Dot McKeever Jeter, Calumet City, Illinois. Bianca McVade, she said good morning. Melissa Jones Chunu, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Where we at? Edwin Garcia. Edwin, I got you on my list. I didn't forget you. We gonna take care of that. It's just that I don't have any vacancies until 2026, but I got you. Nikki Harrison Sloan, good morning to you. Principal Tammy Taylor, Dr. Principal Tammy Taylor, and there's Kimberly Wilson Daniel. Those of you who have been rocking since the beginning, you know, we in year 6 now, but she was with us from the start. I got to finally meet her in person when I was in Georgia not too long ago. Good to finally be in the same space with her. Tony McClenny is in the building, Battle Creek. The queen of the castle. Woo, the castle, baby. Kimberly Broughton Kafele is in the building. September Devon Vance Daniels is here. Justin McMillan, that's my man. He's in the building. Golf RWT, my man down in the ATL. I'm getting ready to stop it, y'all, so I can get going. Erica Joy Brunson, I see you. I see you. That's Erica Brunson in the building out there in Illinois. Where we at? Where we at? I'm trying to find one more. Where's the Jersey person? We got Donna Gant is in the building. She always does a great job of keeping us relevant out there for people that don't know about us. Miss Noby, Savannah, Georgia. Deidre Baker's in the building. I'm looking for somebody from Jersey to round it out. I see you, Sean Hurt, in the building. Detroit, there's Jersey. Michael Dixon's in the building. He's going to be a guest over the summer as well. But Michael Dixon, I see you. AP out in Orange, New Jersey. We're gonna close it out with, with my man, Michael Dixon. And let me say to everybody now formally, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 269 of the AP and New Principals Academy. You know, I always got that question to ask y'all, man. And I'm gonna ask you, how you feeling? How you feeling? Let me tell you something, man. I keep saying it. I keep not wanting to say it, but I keep saying it. I keep watching this cable news, man, and that's just not my reality. I'm not a cable news guy. I'm you know, if I'm gonna watch television, I'm an ESPN guy. That's what I watch. You know, I'm into just sports talk, keeping up with what's happening. I am not into knowing the 24-hour news cycle. That's not my thing. However, I feel like right now I gotta watch, man. So watching, and I'm not gonna get political. I promise y'all. Watching, though, somebody probably said you already political, right? Watching is not good for my mental nor emotional health. It's not. I'm gonna tell you that it's not, right? Just looking at the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq under today's reality, that's not always good when I got money tied up in them three. Right. So, but I'm still going to ask you a question. How y'all feel, man? How y'all feel? I'm going to tell you, it's Saturday morning. They got a lot of rain out here in Jersey, man, for the past like 2 weeks. Right. I missed most of it because I was on the road. I've been on the road like every day. I was on the road 9 out of the last 10 days. Right. So I wasn't seeing the rain, but I was here talking to my wife and she kept, man, it's cold out here. We got to wear a coat. It's raining, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, I don't know what the temperature is. I know we're getting ready to go into a heat wave Monday, but guess what? I'll be back in the sky, so I ain't going to experience that either. But it's just beautiful outside right now. So I'm feeling good, y'all. I'm feeling good. I feel good health-wise. I'm feeling good mentally. I'm feeling good emotionally. But if I wasn't feeling good, and that's what's key, that's okay. It's just that I got to make sure that I know how to get back to where I need to be. So if you're not feeling good, that's okay. But do what's necessary and required to get yourself back to where you need to be. That matters mostly, right? Let's go, y'all. Thoughts and prayers. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit here. Thoughts and prayers to Diane Ricks Jones. Most of you wouldn't know that name, but some of you locally might. Diane Ricks Jones of East Orange, New Jersey. She was a fam. She was part of the fam here of the AP and New Principals Academy. And she made her transition recently, right? She made her transition recently. And her sister, who I never knew, and by the way, Miss Ricks Jones, Diane Ricks Jones, she was a teacher in East Orange, New Jersey for years. She had a very long career in East Orange. But her sister reached out to me and told me that she was fam. And she asked me to speak at the service. I was on the road. So she asked would I write a statement. I did. My mom also told me she was fam. She's on right now. And she watched the service live. So they read the statement and I mentioned that she was a part of our family here. So just thoughts and prayers to her, man. We lost a warrior. Anybody that's in education is a warrior. So Diane Ricks Jones of East Orange, New Jersey, a resident of East Orange, a teacher in the East Orange School District, which is where I spent the bulk of my career. as an educator in East Orange, New Jersey as well, which is also the city that produced me. I tell people I was born there, but I'm lying. I was born in Orange, but I don't know what. I lived there like a day or so, right? I claim East Orange. I do not claim Orange, right? Unless it's convenient. When I spoke at the Orange High School graduation yet many years back, I told them I'm born and raised right here in Orange. I had to win them seniors, baby, right? So when it's convenient, then you know you make it work, right? So let's go, y'all. Let's go. I got to do my shout outs, man. Shout out to Phi Beta Sigma Chi chapter. That's your brothers, Dr. Clemons. Phi Beta Sigma Chi chapter. Shout out to them. They gave me the Educator of the Year award last Saturday. So a lot of y'all was writing me last week like, I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better. Because we recorded because I couldn't say no to accepting an award. I've said no to a lot of things I should have been at, but for this award, you see fit to get me, the kid from East Orange, New Jersey, your Educator of the Year award. I got to go there and accept it, man. So we recorded, but we recorded like 3-4 weeks ago, and I was sick when we recorded it. Like, I looked at the video, I saw it live, but that was on the phone. When I watched it here, when I got home that night, I'm like, man, you look bad. So then when I posted the picture, when we promote on Sundays, and I couldn't find a picture where my eyes look right. Like I was really looking bad. So everybody was writing me, I hope you're better. I hope you're better. Man, come on. That was 3 weeks ago, y'all, right? 3-4 weeks ago. I've been good ever since, man. I can't even tell y'all what I had, man. Not on these public, this, as they would say, public air. I just was sick. We're going to leave that right there, right? So anyway, moving on. But then the person I interviewed, Principal Annette Faison. I appreciate y'all giving her the love. I was reading the comments and all that because she's out there in Wilson County, North Carolina, Wilson County School District, and the Principal of the Year, man. And she doing her thing out there, but just sitting here interviewing her that day, and she was bringing so much good information. Yeah. So shout out to Annette, Principal Faison, outstanding job. I don't do too many recordings. That was the third time, maybe the second time, maybe the third. I'm not sure that I had to do a recording. One time when I had Robin Jackson on, Dr. Robin Jackson, she's 7-day Adventist, so she can't work on Saturday, so we had to record her. And then it seems like I recorded somebody else. Yeah, Dr. Rachel Ederecker. We did a recording one day, and that's the only recordings we've done in 269 sessions. Everything else was live, right? So real quick, shout out to San Bernardino, Unified School District out in California. I was with them the other day. I don't know what day it was. Maybe it was, I don't know. I was out there with them, man. All the administrators. We had a great day. And then we flew on to Houston. Shout out to Leadership Partners in Houston, man. We were at the Rice University right above the stadium, man. Nice backdrop, man. You see the whole stadium behind me. I felt like I was big time, man. So shout out to my man, Lawrence Cone. And we had a great time with the folks. Shout out to all the folks in there. We packed rooms. Shout out to them. We were in there for the entire day. And then shout out to Lawnside Public Schools here in Jersey and South Jersey. If you don't know the history of Lawnside, New Jersey, you need to know. First independent African-American community north of the Mason-Dixon line here in America. In 1926, this was an African-American-led city, which they call a borough, Lawnside in New Jersey. It was founded by abolitionists in 1840 and served as a stop on the Underground Railroad. So, a lot of history in New Jersey that people don't even know about. People in Jersey don't even know about. But I go down there and speak sometimes in Lawnside. Shout out to the superintendent, Dr. Ron Johnson, and staff. We had a good morning down there. And then lastly, my shout outs first, happy birthday to Dr. Rachel Ederecker, part of our fam, been with us from the beginning. She her birthday's today, and she's got a TED Talk coming up later on in the summer. And just shout out to her. And then also shout out to Michael Benton, who's also been a guest on this platform. He's retiring effective like now or Monday, whatever it is, 34 years as an educator. So shout out to him, 34 years as a servant educator, in I think primarily in the Cincinnati area, and he's on right now as well. And he's been a guest. He's been an assistant principal. So shout out to him. Welcome to the first timers. If this is in fact your first time, that means you've missed 268 sessions of a powerful platform. So you can go to and y'all make sure you get that birthday greetings. I see you on the comments, and also the congrats to Michael Benson as well. Yeah, that's important. That's important. If you're first time, you missed 268 sessions, but you can go to YouTube and check them all out. They're all there. All right, so check them out. Next, School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. Right, if you haven't registered, you still got time, man. You still got time. That's July 15 and 16. We will be live and in person in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're talking nothing but instructional leadership for 2 days from 9 to 4. Go to principalkafele.com. Scroll down where it says Instructional Leadership Institute. Click the link, register, and I'll see you. I'll see you there. I'll see you in Raleigh, North Carolina for 2 days. I want to see you in the building. And of course, by registering, let me get that little, here we go. By registering, you get a copy of this. I told y'all, man, the new one, right? What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? That's my newest one. That little promo, that little intro I do at the beginning, it says I'm the author of 13 books. That's when that was made. I'm the author of 14 books. Actually, I'm the author of 15. I got a manuscript sitting in this computer that I just haven't given to my publisher yet. I wrote it real quick, one few weeks. I write them quick. Y'all know how I do. And I just haven't submitted it yet. It's called the Assistant Principal Impact. So I got the Assistant Principal 50, the Assistant Principal Identity. Now this is the Assistant Principal Impact. And then I got another one with the outline. I didn't write the book yet, called the Assistant Principal Legacy. So I'm going hard on the Assistant Principal because, as y'all know, I say that's the most misunderstood and underutilized position in all of education. It's a friggin' mess, right? In so many places. So I'm writing all these books to say, hey, principal, hey, superintendent, hey, assistant superintendent, fix this assistant principal role. This person cannot be a full-time disciplinarian. This person cannot be a full-time lunch duty. This person cannot be full-time bus duty. And they supervise teachers. When do they supervise them? When do they coach them? That's the most important thing. When do they observe them? They can't do it because they're too busy handling discipline. But we have a discipline problem, Kafele. What are we going to do? No, you don't. You have a culture problem. And the culture, that toxic culture, is manifesting as issues with student behavior. But the students are fine. The children are fine. It's the culture of the environment. That's the problem, right? So again, when you I'm going on a whole sermon, right? So again, when you register, you get a copy of What is My Value instructionally to the teachers I supervise. And I got to tell y'all something real quick as I transition to my monologue. School districts all over the country, man, they ordering this book like it's like crazy, man. It's like, as they would say, bananas, right? It's the districts ordering like hundreds of copies for their administrators, man. District, I shouldn't say their name because I don't know if they told the folks I was coming soon, so I'm not going to say their name, but they ordered 700 copies for their administrator. That's a large district, obviously, with that many administrators. Another one, I walk into these rooms when I'm talking to all these administrators, and everybody got a copy sitting on the table, man. They be in their little bag. It's just amazing, man. The kid from East Orange write a little something, and all over the world they reading his stuff, man. Don't you look at somebody out there? You need to hear this before I go to this monologue. Don't you look at yourself in your mirror and minimize yourself. Don't do that. Don't look at yourself in your mirror and then say, "Oh, I can't." They got certain gifts and talents that I don't have. Don't do that to yourself, man. Know that if you conceptualize it, it's yours. Y'all ain't hear me. You ain't hear me. I'm gonna say it again. If you have the ability to just conceptualize it, it's yours. You just got to now make it happen. But once it enters into here and here, now go for it. Let's go, man. I got a quick monologue. I always say quick and they be like too long. It's called "What is the reality of being a special needs student under your leadership. What is the reality of being a special needs student under your leadership? You know, today's topic is a serious conversation about your special needs program. So I said, let me craft my monologue in a way that's consistent with our topic today. So this is going to be comprised of just questions, very little commentary. Hopefully I won't start giving too much commentary because I want to be quick so I can get to my guests. I got these questions I want to ask you. Again, the topic: what is the reality of being a special needs student under your leadership? What does that mean? What does that feel like? I remember as a rookie principal, I'm not giving the special needs students, the special needs department, the attention I'm giving the regular ed because of the pressures of test scores, right? I remember that vividly, right? But I'm so glad I morphed out of that kind of thinking, right? That I evolved out of that kind of thinking into seeing that I got one school, not this. We one school. I got students that have special needs, but we are one school, right? And I had to grow. I had to mature because them test pressures of the regular program. It's like, oh my God. So I'm putting all this energy, all this effort over there. And I had to wake up. I had to grow. I had to mature. I had to evolve, right? And I'm glad that I did. So it gives me the qualifications to be able to talk on this topic, because if I didn't, then I can't address this, right? I'd have the special needs folks in terms of my staff that may watch this to be, nah, you lying, Kafele. You weren't part of us, right? See, I can say this knowing that they would say, nah, he was part of us. He was us, right? So let me go. So I got these 6 questions. What is the quality? What is the quality of the relationship between your leadership and your special needs teachers? Again, what is the quality of the relationship between your leadership and your special needs teachers? That thing has to be quality, right? I'm not going to give a lot of commentary. I just want y'all to take these questions in. Number 2, what is the quality of the relationship between your special needs teachers and your regular ed teachers? Again, what is the quality of the relationship between your special needs teachers and your regular ed teachers? What does that look like? Because if your special needs teachers are here in this island and your regular ed teachers are here on this island, and there's this wide gulf between them, this body of water between them, and there's no collaboration between the two because they over here in this world and they over here in this world, and we ain't talking, we ain't collaborating, but yet as a regular ed teacher, I got special needs students who are included so there's inclusion, they're in my class, but we're not really talking. There's a problem, right? Let's go. What is the quality of the relationship between your leadership and your child study team, right? Are you leaving the child study team to the district special needs department for them to collaborate, or do you have collaboration with that child study team? That matters. Let's go. What is the quality of the relationship between your leadership and your district special ed department? Ooh. Again, is there a gulf there? Is there a disconnect there? Or is there a solid relationship between your leadership in your building and that special ed department in central office, as I have a special ed department director on as one of my guests today, right? So what is that collaboration, right? What is that relationship? Is it this or is it this, right? And you relying on the child study team to do everything. Building leadership has a role to play as well, right? Next one. What is your level of familiarity and understanding of special ed law? Woo. Again, what is your level of familiarity and understanding of special education law? That matters. You can't be going in there lacking knowledge so when you don't have knowledge of law, and I might even add policy, you could set yourself up to be making decisions that you shouldn't be making because you don't know what governs the department, right? So you got to make sure that you are conversant, that you are knowledgeable, that you have familiarity, that you have understanding, that you have clarity of what it is that you should be knowing as it relates to your special needs department, your special needs students. And then lastly, what is the quality of the relationship between your leadership? Keep wanting to put emphasis on that word your. What is the quality of the relationship between your leadership and your special needs students? I left them for last for reasons that I'm going to explain in a second. The quality of the relationship between your leadership and your special needs students. Do they get the same love from you that everyone else does? Are you with them? Are you visible? Are you engaging with them? Are you a permanent fixture in their lives, in your building, or do you have them tucked away? I'm not picking on y'all, because that wouldn't be right. I'm picking on something generic out there. Do you have them tucked away in that dark, dreary, damp basement, right? That you never go down to? That's where the special education department, we got them in the basement in isolation, right? Because it happens. I could proudly say, not under my watch, baby. But I go to schools, man, and they walk you downstairs, they down there. You feel like you in a different school, right? It's dark down there, it's dreary, it's damp, it's cold, right? Nah, man. That's what I mean. So now with that set up like that, it's hard to have relationship because they're not part of the regular population. Right. So, I've told people, because if people I work with are on here and you hear me, I don't mean no disrespect, but I am being honest. I've said to people, you can't have these classes where you have them. You can't do this, right? Because you're stigmatizing your special needs students, right? It's so obvious that you have separated them, and I don't mean basement now, that you've separated them from the rest of the population, that they don't feel like they're a part of this community. They feel like they're a separate community, a separate school, right? You can't do that. I guess I understand your rationale, but you got to look at it through the lens of the student, because that student's going to live life beyond your school, right? Are you going to stigmatize that kid at 8? Because if you stigmatize me at 8, 9, 10, whatever it is, I'm probably going to be stigmatized for the rest of my life internally, right? So you want to make sure that the quality of those relationships is sound, and that's inclusive of where you have them, where you have those classrooms situated in your buildings. So therefore, I got these questions that I'm gonna run through real quickly from the vantage point of your special needs student. Let's look specifically at the student, and here's the question without commentary. Do they feel welcome in your school? Do they feel like they belong in your school? Do they feel like there's somebody special in your school? Do they feel celebrated in your school? Do they feel emotionally safe in your school? Do they feel like they're seen in your school? Do they feel heard in your school? Do they feel liked and loved and appreciated in your school? Do they feel known in your school? Do they feel valued in your school? Do they feel cared for in your school? Do they feel they are believed in your school? Do they feel they are expected to perform highly in your school? Do they feel understood in your school? And do they feel like they matter in your school? And for all of those in your school under your leadership. Man, that matters. That matters, man. Are they a part of that school? Are they included in that school? But when I say included, I mean, are you just an inherent portion of the whole? I'm there. So keep that in mind. Rewatch this later on and hold your mirror up symbolically to ask yourself, who am I as it relates to my special needs population of students in my building? Enough said, y'all. I'm ready to go to my topic. Let me bring my guest on up here. My guest here. I got to change that background too. I always forget about that. Hold on, y'all. Let me change that background, man. Got me looking shabby up here. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good.
Doing all right.
Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all, man.
Doing good.
See you. We got this topic, a serious conversation. It might say on some of the platforms Convo because they only give you so many characters, and I couldn't fit the whole word, so we called it Convo. But a serious conversation about your special needs program. Hey, to the fam out there, I got some dynamite guests on here, and I want to share a portion of their bios. I asked them to send me the short version. You know how that is. So let me get to that. I got Dr. Taneisha Clemons is first, and I got to tell you, man, Dr. Clemons is a former student of mine. I can't claim her though for all the years. She was only I came in her last year. She was at North Tech. She was a senior, and I was a rookie high school principal. I won the rookie principal, but that was who was that? I think that was my 9th year as a principal. And was my first year at a high school though, so I had to figure that out. But she was a senior. She stood out for sure. That's for sure. And I saw her on Facebook over the years, and then I put this topic together, and I said she needs to be right here with us talking special needs, and you're gonna hear why when you hear this bio. Let me read this real quick. I'm gonna read fast, y'all. Dr. Taneisha Clemons grew up in Newark, New Jersey. Her love for children was discovered at a very young age. After completing her undergraduate studies, she began working as a school aide, being placed in special education classrooms to work one-to-one with students with disabilities, and began her passion for advocating for students with disabilities. Taneisha holds a doctorate in education with a specialization in special education, a Master of Arts in Education from St. Peter's University, and a Bachelor of Science in Business Management from Montclair State University. She is certified as an elementary teacher for grades K to 6 and a special education teacher for grades K-12 with 8 years of teaching experience in Newark, Plainfield, and Phillipsburg, New Jersey. She's worked in both charter and public schools, teaching students in grades K through 2. Additionally, she has served as a resource teacher for grades 5 to 7 in English language arts. She's also has experience as a reading interventionist and learning specialist, where she was a key member of the child study team, helping students access necessary services to succeed in the classroom. She firmly believes that every child can learn with the support of passionate advocates who are willing to meet them at their level. Finally, Taneisha currently resides in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, where she works remotely as a program manager for New Jersey Tutoring Corps Incorporated, 501c3 organization dedicated to providing high-impact tutoring to grades K to 8 in math and English arts in various school districts. One of the things you may have noticed, y'all, and the fam out there, the word advocate came up about 3 or 4 times. That's such a powerful word, important word in all of education. You got to ask yourself, as I transition to Alva, you got to hold up that mirror. Am I an advocate? Do I advocate for my young people? But also, since most of us are leaders that watch this platform, am I an advocate for my staff? Right? Do I fight for them? Do I fight the fights that they don't even know are going on? You know, a lot of fights, my staff, they didn't even know stuff I was fighting for. They didn't know stuff I was getting in trouble for, right? Because I'm fighting behind the scenes for them so that the mess doesn't come down to where they are, and then they got to fight it too. So let me head that off before it gets to them. That's advocating. I'm fighting for them because I need them to be at their best in the classroom. But if they got to deal with all them additional pressures, then it's very difficult. Let's go. I'm on here pontificating, preaching, and all that kind of stuff. Alva J. Walker, it's her second time on, man. She was so powerful the first time. I said, I got to get you back on here. So here she is as a passionate advocate for students with disabilities, working to build a more inclusive and equitable educational system. Raised in Oak Cliff, Dallas, Alva developed compassion for both, for those facing adversity from an early age. She graduated from Skyline Career Developmental Center and earned her bachelor's degree in history kinesiology from Jarvis Christian University. Alva began her career as a special education teacher in an urban high-needs district where she gained recognition for her innovative strategies and student-centered approach. She collaborated with families, created individualized plans, fought for vital resources and support. Her desire to drive systemic change led her to earn a master's degree in educational leadership from Prairie View A&M University. With this expertise, she became a director of special education, promoting inclusive practices at the district level. Alva frequently presents at local and national conferences on inclusion, curriculum and adaptations, community building. She's actively involved in community organizations and serves as a board member and volunteer. She envisions a future where professional development for educators prioritizes inclusive practices. She also aims to work with policymakers, educators, families, to advance equity for students with disabilities. Her lifelong commitment to advocacy has made lasting impacts on the field of education. She draws inspiration from the quote, "It's kind of fun doing the impossible" by Walt Disney. She's married to Michael J. Walker Sr., and they have 3 children, Michael Jr., Mackenzie, and Madison. Alva is a devoted aunt, particularly to her nephew Jalen, an education major at Grambling State University. And lastly, Crystal Taft. She was my client, man. She down in Danbury, and we worked for a long time getting all that paperwork in, and ultimately coming on down there to Danbury, and here she is with me now. Crystal Taft, the Assistant Director of Special Education for Danbury Public Schools, bringing over 23 years of dedicated experience to the field of special education, a proud product of Danbury school system herself. Crystal's professional journey began in Danbury Public Schools in 2002 as a special education teacher working with students with emotional and behavioral challenges. Though she never imagined stepping outside the classroom, her leadership potential led her to serve as a special services facilitator in 2012, then advocating to special education supervisor at the middle school level in 2016, and ultimately to her current role as Assistant Director of Special Education, a position she's held since 2021. She's a graduate of Northwestern University, where she earned her Bachelor of Science in Speech and continued her graduate studies to earn a Master of Arts in Learning Disabilities. She later earned her administrative certification from Sacred Heart University, further expanding her capacity to lead and advocate for students and staff in special education. Y'all notice all 3 of them use that word. With each opportunity for advancement, Crystal has expanded her knowledge base, made a greater impact on the school community, broadened the lens through which she views special education, deepening her understanding of the systems and supports that drive student success. Throughout her career, Crystal is committed to fostering inclusive environments where all students are supported through individualized, strength-based approaches. Her collaborative leadership style and deep understanding of students' needs have enabled her to work side by side with educators, administrators, families, community agencies to ensure every learner is given the opportunity to thrive academically and socially and emotionally. And finally, Crystal's married to Roy and is a proud mother of 2 children, Aaliyah and Jordan. She is happy to be living in the community in which she was raised, now raising her own family and giving back to the very place that helped shape her educational and professional journey. Great stuff, all 3 of you. I got some powerhouses on here. Hey, to the fam out there, hit the share button, hit the retweet, the repost, tag somebody, text somebody, call somebody, hit up those Facebook leadership groups, let them know we are in the building, we are here, and we talking special needs this morning. As I said to the 3 of you off camera, any thoughts? You don't have to, but any thoughts on anything I said in that commentary that may have resonated with you, that you may want to say something about it, even if you want to challenge me on something, dispute anything, whatever's on your mind, holla.
I can just say that in listening to your monologue, so many things. You pressed many buttons, you hit the nail on the head. Many things resonated with me as far as, what kind of leader one should be. That when you walk into a school, it is one school. Under the leadership, the building administration, working very closely with the special education department. You walk into any building, all students should feel welcomed. All students should feel a sense of belonging, and there should be no divide. You should walk into a classroom, you should not be able to identify the roles of the adults in the room. You shouldn't be able to identify the students in the room. We are responsible for teaching all kids. We set high expectations for all kids. We are one environment, and everyone needs to be included and have that sense of belonging. And that really is what drives, that is my passion under my leadership, to make sure that is the expectation and that is what is happening in the district.
Love it. I appreciate that. And anybody else, don't feel pressure. I just want to give you that.
Okay. You want to go, Dr. Clemens, or you want me to go?
Okay, I'll just go real quick. I was just
Okay.
going to add on to what Krista was saying about um, the culture of environment and what you mentioned, and how the students may respond and behave in a school. It's not their behavior; it is the culture of environment. I remember my time transitioning from like charter school to public school, and I walked in the classroom. I was like, there's a lack in this classroom. It's not the kids because they're kids, and kids will always be kids, but it's that environment in which you set that student up for success. And believe it or not, we all know that a lot of our um, schools and classrooms lack that.
Yeah.
And so I do agree of finding a way to build that culture of environment for not just the students, but the parents that bring them to that school building also.
Love it. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Alva.
So I was listening to your monologue, and what resonated is that we're on the same page. So whenever I have an opportunity to be with school leaders, I let them know first that special education students are general ed students first.
Yeah.
They are general education students first.
Yeah.
And then when you have that mindset that they're all the same kids, no matter what special programs that are attached to it, being emerging bilingual, being a student with disabilities, being at risk, they are general ed kids first, and they're your kids. And so once I tell them that they're general ed kids first, nobody walks in the door of special education as their first time going to school. That's a process. And so reminding them that general education kids, but then giving that ownership to the school leader that these are all your babies. These babies don't go into this category and belong to the special education director or to the special education lead. These are your babies too. And so giving that ownership, you kept hitting on how do we make sure that we have a relationship with those kids. And it's so important. The other piece in your monologue there here is that as school leaders, it's most important for them to understand that special education is a support. We don't run schools. Principals run schools. Instructional leaders run schools. Assistant principals run schools. We are a support. So we're just like, we provide support to your program. We don't run your school.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a great reminder. And I know that some out there might say, sometimes central office they get it twisted and think it's their school. No, well then you need to establish your leadership so that that's firmly understood. Good stuff. Let me start off with Dr. Clemons. Dr. Clemons, like myself, you studied business management at the undergrad level. I studied business management because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just went on and studied that. And then somewhere along the way, I found myself while I was in that program. So here you got the degree in business management, but you experimented, in my word, not yours, with education. And in your case, you became a classroom aide, the one-to-one aide, as I read in the bio, with students with disabilities, and which began your passion for advocating for students with disabilities. So my question to you specifically, what was the inspiration toward becoming a passionate advocate for students with disabilities, given that you started off as that business major?
Okay, so I believe first my background in general, like I am two of seven. So growing up with my siblings, the principal stayed calling my mom about my siblings, experiencing with ADHD, ADA, while they were in school. And so once I graduated college, I wasn't really sure anymore what I wanted to do. The goal was business management. Oh, I'll open up a daycare. That was my original intent. So as I started to work with AmeriCorps, help transforming a school in Patterson, I then started to work for an outsourcing company. And they continually put me into the inclusion classrooms. Every time I had an assignment, I was like, why do you keep putting me in this classroom? And so, at that point, I felt as though that was God showing me what my calling was, because I kept getting placed there, and I was constantly praised on how well I was doing with these scholars. And I think it was maybe 2013 I had a child who had spinal bifida, and so in preschool, and kids are really intrigued and they want to know, like, why is that person different, or how come she can't do the things the same that we're doing. So it started from there with like me explaining to kids, no, she can do it too. She's just have to do it differently from you guys, or like she just needs a little extra help. So my love from special education started there. And then I started working with students with autism who, it takes patience, and not all adults have that patience for students with autism. But once you establish that rapport with that student, you realize that, they can do all these things that our general education students are doing, or our non-classified students. They just need someone with the heart and passion for it, who's going to say, no, I'll take my time with you to help you achieve what it is that you need to achieve.
Love it. Love it. Let's stay together. It's I'll still with you, Dr. Clemons. It's a given, and this is one of my passions in all of education. It's a given that black males are disproportionately represented in special education. And there's this laundry list of reasons as to why people feel that is, such as test bias, misidentification, historical context, poverty and its effects, cultural differences, lack of diversity in teaching, in the teaching workforce, inadequate training, implicit bias, discipline policies, lack of access to quality general education, issues of cultural responsive teaching, issues of teacher diversity, inequitable assessment practices, issues of parent and community engagement, and other systemic issues. So my question to you, and this is again is Dr. Clemons, given your vast experience in special education, coupled with your advocacy for children with disabilities, what are your thoughts on how we eradicate disproportionality relative to Black boys in special education? If the two of you, Alva and Crystal, are chomping at the bit to jump in on this, once she's finished, feel free to jump on in here.
Our Black boys are often at a disadvantage from day one, especially if you come from a particular environment. I don't believe a lot of people take the time to understand where Black boys come from and some of the things they may experience. So right away, that puts them at a disadvantage from their peers. Don't let a teacher from the suburban come teach in one of our neighborhoods and the boys are giving them a difficult time. I find as though, well, you're not getting to know who they actually are. You're only getting to know what they're identified as, which is that problem student. But half the time, they're not a problem student. They just lack relationships, or they need a certain level of love that they're not getting because people already have wrote them off because of maybe initial behavior, or all they know is this paper foul on this student and they don't get to know them beyond that. And so they stick the label on them and they want that label to follow them their entire life. And it's not meant to follow them their entire life. Sometimes it's just meant for this school year. But yet now I'm old enough to understand that, well, you already said I'm a problem anyway, so why should I be better? Why should I do better? You already made your decision about me. And that happens. I've witnessed that as a student. I still see it happen. And it's just like sometimes it's a battle that they can't get out of, especially not by themselves. And this is why I always tell parents, no, you need to know your advantages as the parent too. Just because the school says this doesn't mean that you have to abide by that.
Love it, love it, love it. I have a cousin. I won't say his name, but he knows who he is. He's on here from time to time, and he was labeled special needs. I forget what the disability was. This is when he was in middle school, elementary school, and he became a middle school student in East Orange. But his principal saw something in him, and his principal became his advocate, and ultimately he was removed from special needs altogether. And here he is now. He's very successful. He's also an activist in the North community and beyond. But he had an advocate, and that was his principal, and that reversed everything. And then he went on and graduated with honors at Clifford Scott High School. I think he was deemed most likely to succeed or something. I know they did this whole newspaper article on him, you know. So when you got that fighter, and the three of you been using that word advocate and advocate, that things can change for young people. So I appreciate everything you said. Anybody want to chime in on that?
I would like to share. So when we think about boys, before we be specific with African American males or boys of color, boys are wired different. They are kids that have to have a touch point. They are tactile, kinesthetic learners in the moment. Kids. That's the nature of being a boy. So one of the things as a teacher, we have to look at, okay, my male students are different from my female students. And then let's look at now, let's add the equation of this kid being a student of color. Culturally, depending on where you are, low socioeconomic to middle class to affluent, those Black boys all act differently, right? And so we have to look at the affluence of that kid, but then also to what is he coming to school with? What's in his book bag? I had a superintendent once speak that kids carry 2 book bags to school every day, one with books in it and one with emotions in it. So what's in that kid's book bag that he's bringing to school every day? Last night, did he see his mom get beat up? Or he could have been my student that rode around and found all the places where kids eat free because that's all his mom could afford, to buy one meal so that the kid could eat free. Or did he sleep in his car? And so one of those things that we don't think about is what's in that kid's backpack, but then we want to automatically say that that child is disabled. I am a staunch advocate against not having psychologicals done on kids in general prior to age 7. But the DSM-5 states that you don't give a psychological to a kid before age 7, but there are quite a few kids that are getting psychological evaluations and labeled emotional disabled by kindergarten because they're breaking crayons, or they don't want to color, or they don't want to sit on the rug, or they have to dance in the morning time the first 5 minutes. But one of the things that I look at it is like, well, what is that kid bringing to school? What's the norm in our house? What's the norm in their home? What is going on? And that's why it's so prevalent for us to see what's in that kid's second backpack. What is he bringing to school every day? And then it goes back to in your monologue. Hey, what is that culture like at that school? Does that student have that safe place like your cousin had? Your cousin had a safe person that he could show up as quirky as he was, as odd, or whatever word we wanted to use for that student, and he was deemed most likely to succeed. But just imagine if somebody didn't look past his backpack or what he was bringing to school every day. You know, and so we have to make sure that we build a culture where it's safe, that a kid can, he has to jump around. I had a student every day would tell me, Miss Brown at the time, I'll read in your class if you call my grandmother and tell her to make my noodles before I got home. So of course, every day, I need you to read out loud in class. So I'm going to call, hey, Grandma, this Miss Brown. Did you put Barron's noodles on? Oh, okay, he's reading now. But that was the relationship. If not, he was going to tear the room up. I don't want my room tore up every day. So, okay, I'll call your grandmother. So it's just important that we really tap into the social aspects of the kids, and then we can get down to the academics. We can get down to the instructional focus of the kids, but let's tap into the social needs of that student before we misidentify them or over-identify them.
Love it. And before I ask Crystal, she wants to jump in. I just made an adjustment in my whole agenda. Listen, y'all are bringing so much so early, right? That we got the talking points, but before I get to those, anybody want to jump in on anybody's question? I only got a few, but anybody want to jump in, because I want to make sure that we are exhaustive of what we're offering to the fam that's on the other side of my camera watching, because it's such an important topic, right? And then we'll go to the talking points. Same thing, y'all can jump in on each other, and we just vibe that way, right? Crystal, anything you want to add to that?
Sure. Just to piggyback.
Oh, one more thing, Crystal. Hang on. But
Yes.
the three of you now understand. We typically go 2 hours, right? So with y'all jumping in on each other, it might take you longer. As long as y'all got time, I ain't got nothing to do today. I'm going to Broadway 8 o'clock. So between now and 8, I ain't got nothing on my plate, right? I want to see what's that play? I'm going to see Purpose, right? So Felicia Rashad. So feel free, but just know that I don't want to hold y'all up all day. All right, Crystal, go ahead.
No, it's good conversation. Just again to piggyback on Dr. Clemons and Alva, I do feel and recognize the over-identification of Black males, and I do believe it is contributed to a lack of understanding of our kids, and beyond that, there's over-identification in general. And it really is about getting to know your students, getting to know their backgrounds, building those relationships, and really just understanding how they learn, being able to bring in kind of their culture and those multisensory strategies to their instruction so that you really can tap into their strengths and really bring out their full potential. That is kind of what drives me in this field. Really being able to meet the kids where they're at and understand their backgrounds, where they're coming from, and really being able to design the instruction to get them to grow, to get them to reach their goals, no matter how big, how small. And really seeing them achieve it is what keeps me going in this field and continues to keep my fire lit moving forward.
Appreciate that. Love it. Alva, you too are a passionate advocate for students with disabilities, working to build a more inclusive and equitable education system, as was said in your bio. Let's dissect those 3 words: advocate or advocate, inclusion, and equitable. And y'all feel free to jump in on this when she finishes each one individually. Let's go with advocate. What does it look like to be an advocate within your capacity of director of special education, and why does that matter to you?
So when I think about the word advocate, I think cheerleader. And so, and in the capacity of work that I do as a director of special education and leading the department or special education department as a whole, is that I'm cheerleading for all students. I am a front runner of making sure that they get exactly what they need. I'm making sure that even if it's uncomfortable, even if it takes a little longer to do it, even if it takes an extra person, that I'm advocating that this student, I'm cheerleading out loud boldly that this student gets exactly what they need. And I'm ready for the pushback of why are we doing this? So I'm going to provide you with the why behind it. So, and that's where I'm not afraid as a leader to tell you, okay, we're doing this because it's in the, and I know the cliche, the common word, in the best interest of kids, but what's in the best interest of growing the kid, and not just the best interest of the kid, but how we're going to make sure this kid grows. Because regardless if the student has a disability or not, they can grow.
Yeah.
They have the capacity to grow. I have seen students with that are in low incident populations or our most restricted environment blossom when they're poured into. So it's just like a plant. You water it, it grows. We expose it to sun, it grows. And so you have to pour into it. So that's my advocacy. And I stand on it regardless of the opportunities or the positions that I have, and I'm in the best interest of this child growing, not just in the best interest of the kid, but how do I make this kid grow? I want to add that piece to not just the best interest of the kid, but what's the best interest for this kid to grow? Because we look at the best interest, but does it stagnate the kid? Is it comfortable for the adult? And so that's where my advocacy lens leads me to.
And see, like you think about the kid in a classroom is being stifled, right? Like for me, once I figured out what I wanted to do in life, you know, beyond being a teacher and a principal, I wanted to be a speaker. And the biggest voice for me, and I would say the biggest voice for a whole lot of people that wanted to go into the speaking industry would be Les Brown, right? And Les Brown grew up a special needs youngster, right? But he was able to demonstrate that, but I can still be the most recognizable in his case, motivational. That's not what I am, but in his case, motivational speaker, the biggest one on the planet Earth, right? But imagine that had been stifled and he never came into his own, right? So he had advocates in his life, including, as he would say, Miss Mamie Brown, right? And his adopted mother. So he had people in his life fighting for him. And when I hear that word advocate, you said cheerleader, and for me, what I hear is somebody's fighting for me. They're fighting a fight that I can't fight for myself, right? So, but cheerleader, I can embrace that as well, because that's what it is, right? Good stuff. Let me go to your second word, inclusion. And my question is, how do you make inclusion a reality in your capacity, and why does that matter to you?
So inclusion, when coming up with the thing is that everyone is involved, that no one is left off the table, no seat is empty. It is representation of all parties, all individuals, everyone involved. So when I make sure inclusion is involved, and in the environment that I had, that I work in, I had an opportunity to include my life skills class in the homecoming court. And so never had that happen before, but they should be a part of homecoming and feel like it. And so that was the first time that they ever had a homecoming queen from the life skills class. Well, they should have had that feeling of being included in that, not because now they're in life skills and they couldn't be in the runnings. They had their, they should be included. That should be the opportunity. When coming up with the concept, it was many, many years ago, of having a Special Olympics. Well, ensuring that we had Special Olympics in a high school setting gave kids that didn't normally have an opportunity to participate in sports to participate in those sports. And so that's when being inclusion, they're making sure that everyone that's in the school community is involved, and then there's a voice. But then let's take it up another notch. When a principal is looking at the data from their school and the performance of where they can take their school to, they have to have that. They have to include the data of our students that are students with disabilities, and they need to drive instructions beyond that. When they're coming up with those campus improvement plans, or when they're coming up with those needs assessments, you need to say, what is the need of our most vulnerable and marginalized population? How do we incorporate that need into a school-wide focus and making it sure? So as a principal and a school leader, true inclusion is thinking of every student that's under your watch, that's in your building, and incorporating it into your instructional values, your culture ideals, and your mission and vision. Would be making sure that when you think about my school community, I'm thinking about special education students as well. I'm thinking about all students as well.
Love it. And your last word, equitable. That's that controversial 4-letter word.
Yes.
The boogeyman. The clients ask me, please don't bring into our district because we will be in trouble if you do, right? But so therefore, if that climate is out there and you in Texas, but I ain't gonna get you in trouble. What does equity look like? Since it's one of your words, what does it therefore look like under your capacity?
I always think about equity. There is a pictorial that's very old that's out there that has a picture of 3 different bicycles. There's a tricycle, there's a regular bicycle, there's a wheelchair. And that picture always resonates to me when I think about equity. Not giving everybody one of everything, but giving what Crystal needs, what Dr. Clemons needs, what Principal Kafele needs, what Alva needs. I don't want what Crystal needs. I want what would give me value, give me some worth as a student, as an instructor, as a teacher. So when I think of equity, I think of giving students what they need, not across the board. Like we just passing out books to be passing out books. Do you need a book, or do you need a book that has a larger manuscript in it? Or do you need an audio version? Or do you need pictorials? I'm going to give you what you need, not what I think everyone should have. And so that's what I think of when I think of equity.
I love it. I love it. Anybody want to chime in on those 3 words: advocate, inclusion, equitable?
Sure. Yes. Just going on the equity. Always remembering too, right, that the standards, we keep those high expectations, those standards, and we're meeting, right, the child where they're at, providing them with that access, giving them that specially designed instruction so that they can reach those same expectations. Oftentimes, I think we're confronted with people saying, we lower expectations. No, we need to keep high expectations for all students. And we need to learn ways in order to reach them. If a child's not learning the way that we teach, then we need to look at how we're teaching and teach them the way that they learn. Yeah. Special education, again, I know has, evolved, which is great. And I hate that it has perhaps such a negative kind of connotation. But special education, it's a service. It provides kids with what they need. I feel like I sound like a broken record, but it's meeting them where they're at. We have diverse learners. We have learners with varying abilities. And I think, I wear my, spotlight the ability because that's what we need to do. Hone in on those strengths of our kids while supporting the areas of need.
I love it. Good stuff. You anything, Dr. Clemons?
I was going to just add on to where you spoke about advocating is fighting. And I would say, that was me as an inclusion teacher. I'm coming in with my boxing gloves on because just like, no, you said you were going to do this and you still haven't done anything. At my old school, my college used to call me Spitfire because I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking and I'm not going to stop talking until we come to a terms that's going to be beneficial for my students, because it is a disservice that, I have 30 students and you're telling me, oh, we can't find any help. No, well, you need to find some help because based on our IEP, you need to find help.
Yeah.
And so like things of that nature. And I think also often in education, we highly mistake equity and equality. And, inclusion is not about equality. As like Crystal and Alva said, it's about meeting them where they are, giving them the tools that they need to succeed. So no, I'm not going to treat James the same. I'm not going to do the lesson the same for James as I may need to do for Crystal if they need different tools to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And that's how I define equity. It's a million different definitions, which is part of the confusion around equity, because we use zillion as just slang, but it's probably is a zillion different definitions. There's so much out there, so many books out there. So I just took it. I said, let me simplify it so I can keep getting in these schools talking equity. I said, just meeting the children right there where they are, but then ... capital letters, bold font, italicized, as they are, right? Meeting them where they are, as they are. And then I'll say to the client, where's the issue with my definition, right? Oh, no, that's good. All right, so let's go in there and talk equity, right? Meeting them where they are, as they are, because that's what's just said by you all. I can't meet, if I'm gonna meet you right here, the next student, I may not be able to meet you right there because you might be here or whatever. So I got to meet you where you are. Like myself, I'm not an auditory learner. I'm not. I wasn't as a child, and I'm not at 64 years old. I got to see words. I got to see it, right? But if you're going to meet me where you're meeting an auditory youngster, I'm failing, and you're probably going to think I have a disability, right? Because you don't understand that. No, I don't have a disability. I'm just different from my classmate. So meet me where I am and let me excel based on where I am. That's equity, y'all. That's what you all are saying. Hey, Crystal, your bio, and reading your bio, to quote it, it says, with each opportunity for advancement, Crystal has expanded her knowledge base, made a greater impact on the school community, and I gave this bold font, broadened the lens through which she views special education, deepening her understanding of the systems and supports that drive student success. So with that, my question to you is more not a question, but a statement. Talk to us about what you mean by deepening your understanding of the systems and supports that drive student success. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. So I began my, I'll say my journey, right, as a classroom teacher. And, as a teacher, I worked within a specific school. I worked with a specific population of students who had emotional and behavioral challenges. And so, my lens, I think was narrow, working within the classroom setting. As I shared, I did not see myself working outside of the classroom. I had great colleagues and leaders who tapped on my shoulder who saw something in me that I necessarily didn't see, and felt that I could make a broader impact on within the special ed field, not only just for my students, but for the staff in which I work with, for the families in which I work with, and then more so in this capacity too, with community agencies, and really I was able to kind of broaden the scope and my lens, seeing it from many perspectives. Seeing it from the parent lens, helping parents to understand where their child is performing, where they're at, and what they need to do in order to get them the support that they need. So as I kind of worked my way into these broader circles, I've been able to learn more through my experiences, be able to share my experience and help to advocate for special needs kids and help families to get the support that they need, and help to be that liaison between the community and the schools, to be able to not just while kids are in school, but post school, help them to be those successful individuals, and really demonstrate their skills to be as independent as they can be once they leave the educational environment. And so with every opportunity for advancement, I feel I was just able to reach a larger audience, and be able to educate, listen, and just really help to be that bridge and that advocate for kids, for families, to really help their child to achieve their fullest potential.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Before we go to you all's talking points, I got one more general question. It's not for anybody specifically, whoever wants to jump in here. This platform, AP and New Principals Academy, was designed for leaders. So there's mostly leaders on here, aspiring leaders, assistant principals, etc., all the way up to superintendent. My question to anybody who wants to jump in, it could be all three. What are the qualities that you would conceptualize or even look for in a leader at the building level, toward reducing, I want to go back to Black males one more time, toward reducing disproportionality in Black male special education placements when they are not required? But again, just being very specific, what are you looking for in the leadership of a building? That's what I'm saying. Even like with Dr. Clemons, with you not being a director, that doesn't matter, right? Just in terms of what you see. What would be ideal for you when you look at a leader as it relates to special needs? Anybody jump on in here.
I think it just starts with heart. Like you have to have a heart for this. Because if you don't have a heart for it, you could get ran out and ran over by it. So if you don't have a heart to help our students, to advocate, to see that, we need someone who's going to go toe to toe, who's going to question everything and not just, oh, well, they said I can't do this. Like Alva said, I'm going to show you the why. Like, I'm going to give you the reason why we're doing the work that we're doing. So you can't have leaders who are just going to be yes leaders, yes ma'ams, yes sirs. Like, they have to actually understand and be knowledgeable about what it is that they're walking into. Or you're going to be ran by the central office. You're going to let everybody that's outside of your school dictate what you should do in the school, where you spend 15, 20 hours of your day with your leaders and your students, but let you have the outside telling you what you should do based upon what they think is right. But they're not walking the walk or talking the talk with those students and leaders in your building. So why are you letting them have full control of what's going on there?
I love everything you said.
Me too. Me too.
Because that's Dr. Clemons. That's what it is. It's heart, and I would even say compatible with heart is courage, right? Spine, determination, drive. I'm not going to make this question about me, but I will say this. I had so much heart that I got in trouble. Everybody knows that. I got in trouble before I came to North Tech. In fact, I came to North Tech because I got in trouble, right? So North Tech was my reset, right? Because I got in so much trouble in East Orange. Being an advocate, right? Having heart for the young people, having the courage to stand up for young people. It got me in trouble, but I bounced back and won the Milken Award, so it was all good, right? So, but what I'm saying is, what I'm not even asking. I think I'm talking to the fam out there that I'm not advocating to use that word that y'all get yourselves in trouble, but somehow you got to move strategically in a way that you can be the best you for your students. Because if you can't bring that heart that Dr. Clemons talks about and thereby be the best you for your students, and then the question becomes, why do they need you? What are you bringing if you don't bring heart, if you don't bring courage, if you don't have a backbone? What are you bringing to them? Because your intellect is not enough, right? So there's got to be something you bring. I ain't looking for none of y'all to respond to this either, because y'all got day jobs. My life's a little different from yours, right? But all I'm saying is that somebody out there, I'm saying to you, you got to be strategic, because that heart that Dr. Clemons talked about, you've got to be able to walk in your heart. But if your heart is here, but you have to be this, then there's no correlation between your heart and your reality. Your heart is theory. That's all it is. It's not your reality. I had to make sure that my heart and my reality were one. So did I got in trouble, but, and this is critical, I had a whole city that said, oh, we got you, buddy. We got you. And they had me. So whatever trouble I got in, it was resolved. And I made a conscious decision to go to North Tech, right? Because I was agreeable to the reset, right? So keep that in mind, fam. And those of you that may have some personal stuff, you know how to reach me and we talk it through. Don't send me no dissertation though, because I ain't got time to read it. Keep it brief, right? All right. Anybody else want to jump in?
I do want to, I agree 100% with Dr. Clemons. You have to have the heart for the work. You do have to have the audacity and the tenacity. So those are two different words with two different concepts. You do have to, but then you have to frame it, because what is in the best benefit for the kid to grow? And I know that is my soapbox, but don't get caught up in the heart of the work being your personal agenda. You got to make sure that the heart of the work has 100% to do with the growth of the kid. And so sometimes you have to have some faith steps that you're going to do in the best interest of kids. I stand on and I believe that any one of the kids that I've had an opportunity to touch directly as a teacher or a school leader and indirectly as a district level leader could have been my baby. And so I always keep that at the forefront of my mind, that if I didn't know better, who would show me, and to make sure that I show up. And that's what leaders have to think. This could be your child. Who's going to show up for you when you don't know all the nuances and the ins and outs of special education or school or just any of those things? Who's going to show up for you? And so that's where the heart really kicks in, when you start thinking, this could be me. This could very well have been my child. This could have been my situation. How do I make sure that I'm showing up like I would want somebody to show up for me? And that's when the heart really kicks in.
I know, just to add, definitely have to have the heart. You have to have the courage and really genuinely care for all kids, and be willing to step out there and take that risk and have those difficult conversations with your staff, to bring them around to really taking the time to understand kids, build those relationships and make those connections with the kids, and that they too are advocates for all kids. They are their kids' voice. They are responsible for them. And you truly do need to understand, and it really does begin top down with setting that culture and climate, and having that leader really, like you said, have the courage to do what is in the best interest of kids. And if you keep that at the forefront, you will continue to put yourself out there, have those difficult conversations with those who don't have such an open mindset or receptive to our brown, our students of color. And you got to keep pushing. You got to keep, if you hear something, address it. And make sure that we are all in alignment and that we are all working toward one common goal, and that is what is in the best interest of kids.
Love it. Let's make that transition to the talking points you all sent me. To the fam out there, if there's anybody new out in on the other side of my camera, we do this in two parts. I got my own questions that I generate. That's what all my guests. And then I ask them, send me some one sentence talking points of what they're, or one word or statements of what they're most passionate about as it relates to the topic. So we got these talking points, and I'm gonna start with Dr. Clemons. Let me put it on the screen. And you said classroom management and positive reinforcement as it relates to our topic. Break that down for us.
So I think the teacher is as strong as the management in his or her classroom. And you could tell a lot about an individual by how their classroom is managed. I think in the beginning of my teaching career, the school I worked at, you had to start as a second teacher before you became the primary lead teacher. And they had a process for that. But within months of me being there, they were like, oh, no, you don't have to do the full process because you already have classroom management under control. So being able to have full autonomy and control of your classroom doesn't look like you're the dictator in the classroom, or there's a lot of yelling in the classroom, but there is structure, rules and routines in your classroom. And especially in an inclusion classroom or any type of classroom, you have to have that. And there's no classroom that's perfect. So there will be behavior that comes with that. But we also need to understand that you have to also pick your battles in the classroom. So am I going to continue to argue with John? No. How can I reinforce his behavior without putting the highlight on the negative behavior that he's doing? Because sometimes we often highlight the negative behavior, and that also becomes a trigger to that student in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So if we need them to be redirected, positively narrating what that can look like in the classroom so that someone else who may be doing that same behavior they hear that positive reinforcement or narration that you're giving that other student, and then everyone's able to fall in line to what you are expecting them to do in a positive way. Instead of saying, well, I told you to sit down. Oh, I like the way that John is sitting down. Oh, I know that you can do it too. So that makes them want to, match their peers to do the right thing so that they can get that positive praise. So everything doesn't need to be a negative reaction. We're teachers, we're humans too. We get frustrated, but sometimes we have to remember, go back to, what is our why? So am I here every day to yell at 30 kids to tell them I said not to do this, I said not to do that? No, I'm here to teach them what it looks like to have structure and routine in the classroom, that you can still get the same attention that you're seeking, but in a positive light.
So Dr. Clemons, let me give you a scenario. You are speaking at a conference, you're doing a breakout session, and I'm just going to make up a title. Enhancing classroom management, positive reinforcement in your special needs learning environment. Your audience is all principals and assistant principals. I'm not going to ask you to do the 1 hour breakout session here, but what would be your overall theme? I want you to respond to this as if you're talking to that audience, right? What would you, because that's essentially what you got here anyway. What would you say to those principals, assistant principals, as speaker as opposed to presenter on the AP Leadership Academy? How would you address them in terms of those two areas?
I think I would first make note that great relationships produce better responses. So that's not just with your teachers, but as a leader, you should know the students in your building too. So, for example, if you have a new teacher who has a student that you have rapport with, that you've been dealing with in your time of leadership, you know how to get them to respond better than this new teacher may be, because that new teacher hasn't taken the time to get to know who that student is beyond, the ID number or first or last name. What does that student like? How can you get them to do what you need them to do without kicking him out of the classroom or her out of the classroom to go to the principal office? Now you're showing you done lost control of the situation. So how can we draw back to make sure that our relationship building would give me a better response?
Love it. I appreciate that. Let me go to Alva. I know when I wrote my questions, I hadn't even looked at your talking points, right? And when I saw them, I said, "Oh my God," I said the same thing she said. But I know you got something to add to that. You said disproportionality of minorities in special ed. So I focus on the boys. So now you can go, you can take it anywhere. In special ed leadership role in dismantling bias. What is their role?
It is so important. So when I think about disproportionality of minorities, that's a buzz phrase. It's the hottest topic in special education because the number of minority students in comparison to their peers that are identified in special education is alarming. It is at a rate of about 34%. So that's a third, almost a fourth of the population of students that are in special ed in comparison to their peers. And then they say, well, we ask the question, what role does the leadership play in dismantling the bias? So when it comes to instructing the kid, providing correction to the student or discipline or culture or building the climate of the school, it starts with the leader. And so oftentimes a student with disabilities, specifically, let's say Black boys. So our Black boys, we get in trouble in school, we go to the principal's office, and the first thing he gets in trouble those 2 or 3 times, and we say, well, let's refer him to special ed. But for what? Did we find out what was going on? What are we doing? Because the federal regs state that we are supposed to evaluate the suspected disability. But if he skipped class, use a vape, or get into a fight, what disability does that connect to?
Yeah. How about
This
that?
sounds more like an outcry, not a disability. And it's just my special education leader. So as a leader, we have to find out what's going on. And then, okay, let's say that our student is already identified as a student with disability. So he has the identification as a student with disability. We're not going to always lean to the fact that the behavior that student displays is due to the disability. And lawfully and rightfully, we supposed to manifest and determine if there is a link. So we should be having that conversation. So the leadership's role and responsibility is to make sure that their relationship is so alive, so viable with their student that we can identify a bad day from the actual need that that student may have, or a bad moment or a bad decision that that student made from a specific need for their student. So how do we break up and dismantle biases that we automatically assume that all Black boys are emotionally disabled? They're not.
Yeah, it's good
You know,
stuff.
how do we break up that if he has a fight, then, oh, he needs a psychological? No, he doesn't. I mean, and so how do we break that up? Well, that means that we pour more into that leader to understand kids' cultural biases, norms of students. We pour into that leader to understand, okay, well, that was just an instance. That's not a routine of behavior. We don't have enough data to substantiate this being a pattern of behaviors.
So, all right. So now let's put you at the conference too. Like when we met in Vegas, right? That's how, for the fam out there, that's how I met Alva. We were both speaking at the same conference in Vegas, right? And last year. So you're doing a presentation, and that leader is sitting in those seats that has recommended the child study team for a fight, right? And other undesirable behaviors. Talk directly to that leader, because that leader might be on right now, as opposed to speaking in terms of what should be done. Talk directly to the person.
So as I'm talking directly to the person, my first question is, what is your experience of being a trauma-informed leader?
Ooh.
And I know we hear the word trauma and we think that it has to be an explosive situation, but trauma has various looks, right? So what is your experience of being a trauma-informed leader? How did you respond to the problem? How did you react or listen? How did you activate? How did you ensure safety? And so my first question would be, if that leader was a trauma-informed leader, and based on the situation, it could be the kid skipping school, it could be the kid fighting, it could be the kid using a vape, it could be any of those behaviors. He destroyed the classroom. How do I make sure that I prepare you as a school leader to be trauma informed, that this behavior had an antecedent, that it started somewhere? And how do I make sure that I equip you with those tools so that every situation your end answer won't be the child study team or the MTSS process or RTI or just a flat out referral for special education? So how do I make sure that I equip you for that? Well, I'm glad you asked. So then I'm going to give my toolbox of those different things to make sure that they are a trauma-informed leader, that they are aware of students' needs, and that they are being able to be conscious of, how do I make a decision for the student that's not just a quick fix, but actually what their student needs.
Strong stuff. Let me go to Crystal. Your first one, Crystal, out of the three. We got 3 rounds. You said creating an inclusive environment that promotes academic, social, and emotional growth is one of your passions in this work. What are you saying to us?
So we touched on inclusion throughout this session.
Yeah.
I truly believe, again, that we have to look at making sure that the environments that our students are walking into are welcoming, are where they feel a sense of belonging, where they feel valued and respected. And it is our role as leaders to create that environment, to make sure that our staff are equipped with the tools to be able to provide inclusivity, whether it's different instructional strategies, behavior management approaches. We really have to maximize the capacity in our staff and empower them to be able to feel that they have what it takes to include all students to whom they serve. It is so important for our staff to look at the whole child, as I share that social emotional well-being of the child, and making sure that we address that first and foremost, so that we can get to the academics. But we need to make sure that they feel that sense of belonging. That is their emotional well-being, that they feel respected and valued and heard. As you walk through a school building, and as you shared, Principal Cafele, just something simple as, where are your special education classrooms located within your building? Are they integrated? Or do you walk through the building and you know that special ed is located here?
Oh, she froze.
Class.
There you go.
Oh, did you lose me?
You froze, but you good.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my back.
You're back. Go ahead.
So it's something just as simple as that. Where are you as the leader, including, the kids in the building, creating opportunities as well for your special needs students to be integrated with their typical peers. It's so important. And I think inclusion, it's a benefit to all students. It's a benefit to the adults. We learn from one another. So inclusion to me is not just about, benefiting the needs of special needs kids. We can learn so much from being united and being one. And that acceptance alone, and kids learning acceptance and learning that everybody has varying abilities, that there is diversity, inclusion is just really, I think, essential. And that's what we have to think about first and foremost. Day one, even before day one of school, but what does your environment look like? What is the messaging to your staff about what the expectations are? And from there, I think that's how you lead, and that's how you'll get that culture and climate to be one such that it is one school and not a school that is divided.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, folks out there, hit that share button, hit that retweet, repost, tag someone, call someone, text someone, hit them Facebook leadership groups. And like I always say, hit that like button. Even if you dislike it, hit it anyway, right? Hit that like button. That's how we activate those algorithms. We live in an algorithms-based world right now. So hit that like button as well. Let's go to round two. Let me readjust here. And Dr. Clemons, I've been waiting for this one actually. You said accommodations versus modifications. What are you saying to us?
So when our students do receive, or if they need an IEP, I believe oftentimes teachers, they receive it, but they don't actually understand it. And then when trying to create new goals for these students, we often confuse what a modification and accommodation looks like. Because there's a lack of understanding that accommodation is how we accommodate our supports that's put in place to help that student access what they need to access. It's not necessarily a change in curriculum, whereas a modification, changes to the curriculum can be made based upon the individual need. And a change also in how we may supply the content or even grade the criteria used for a student is a modification. So sometimes when we're in child study meetings and teachers have to write IEPs, and we're okay, well, what are you modifying for this student to help them succeed? Because all you're listing is accommodations, but those accommodations can be given to a variety of your students who may not have a classification, but they need to be accommodated to succeed. But now I'm asking you for modifications of what you modified in this class to help them succeed. and you can't give me any modifications that you made to meet that individual need, because now you feel like that's doing too much work.
So how would that be addressed then?
There's a lot of like training that needs to happen for teachers who teach students with learning disabilities, so that they can have a more like in-depth understanding of what it is. I know the other topic I gave you was IEP, and so this falls into that. So just sitting down to give primary examples of what that may look like in the classroom. Because there are different types. There are environmental accommodations that can be made, instructional accommodations. So just understanding how to utilize both accommodations and modifications in your classroom based upon the needs in your classroom.
Yeah.
And that also comes with collaboration and support from others, stakeholders in the building.
I remember as a classroom teacher, and here I was in an inclusive learning environment. And there was so much, because I was a rookie, I was a baby. And then there was so much that I didn't know at the time. And I had to be trained, and as you just said, and that training in some regards was very extensive, because I'm this regular ed guy, this general ed guy. I'm stuck in the old language, this general ed guy, and it's all I knew. So, but the beauty was I was trained. It expanded my repertoire, and it just made me that much more of an asset for the students that needed me to be trained in my classroom. Right. So that training matters. And here we are 30 years later. Right. And that training is still necessary. Right. If I'm going to be that teacher, that in an inclusive environment, young people are going to benefit from me being the adult in the room. Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. I should have asked in the previous one. Anybody want to jump in? We good? All right, let's go. Alva's next. You said differentiated instruction that works, supporting diverse learners.
So I didn't jump in on Dr. Clemons because this piggybacks accommodations versus modifications. So when I think of differentiated instruction, regardless if it's a student with disabilities or if it's a tier 2 student that just needs more support, if we were talking about the multi-tiered systems of support, or if it was just it was my tier 3 kid that I've had some data on them. Differentiated instruction works because you're meeting the need of the student so the kid can grow. And so you're exposing them. So I'm a note taker, and I cannot do anything without taking notes, right? So I take notes while you're talking now. I'm taking notes. I'm a note taker. So as a teacher is teaching me, she's going to see, I got to write it down. I can't just watch it. You can't just stand before me and do it. I have to write while you're talking. Even at church, I'm a big note taker at church. That's how I learn. That's how I absorb things. Well, when I differentiate the instruction as a teacher, so I have something that a kid can touch, they can write, they can taste, they can feel, whatever the case may be. I'm making sure that that kid learns in their best learning modality. It works. It works with the gifted kid. It works with the kid with the learning disability, the kid that's the kid that's low incident population, our life skill kids. When I work according to how that kid learns, the kid learns. And so that's when it goes into those accommodations and modifications. Do I need to change it up? Because I trained on accommodations and modifications one time, and I used cans of corn. I used cream style corn and whole kernel corn. And I asked the group which one was the accommodation and which one was the modification. To this day, those cans of corn are still in my office. And everybody asks, why do you have those cans of corn in your office? And I say, hey, that's an accommodation and a modification. So it leads to that conversation. That whole kernel corn is an accommodation. They just added some salt to it and sealed it up. But cream style corn is a modification. We changed that corn. We changed the consistency of it, the way it looks. And so I use those cans of corn as hey, this is the difference, so that teachers, and they were, and visually a teacher could see that. They could hear it when I said it auditorily, and then now they can put it into work. Okay, if I change it up, they know that cream style corn tastes different than whole kernel corn. The texture is different. And so now they know those things. Well, that was a way to differentiate instruction to my group of people that I was providing the PD to, as well as making it real and relevant to the kids, the teachers, just anyone that was wanting to know the difference. So differentiated instruction works across the board. You can use it in parenting, you can use it in leading, you can use it in all aspects because it works for those diverse learners.
What a powerful tool. That resonates with me. That's strong stuff. Anybody want to jump in? Let's go. We good on time too. Crystal, I don't have your name on here because StreamYard only gives 200 characters. So I was able to do some editing to get the whole thing in, but your name's missing, but that's yours. Individualized instruction is the cornerstone of special education. Ensuring that each student's unique learning needs, strengths, challenges are addressed through tailored supports and services. It's interesting how this lined up because the three of you are all aligned on what you said. Yeah, all three. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say exactly. This kind of falls into line with the differentiated instruction. Again, it is key to understanding your child, their needs, where they're currently performing, and being able to tap into their learning styles, their individual learning styles, and really getting them to feel comfortable with, I think, taking educational risks to really show where they are able to, or get to allow them to achieve, allow them to feel that sense of success. When we individualize the instruction, we see the growth in kids. We see the progress that they make. And I often remind, teachers, parents that, look at the individual growth that your child is making. We often hear, they're still not at grade level. They're not meeting grade level expectations. Special education, I'll say, we definitely are working toward closing the achievement gap for all kids and providing the appropriate supports that they need, but really looking at the individual growth that your child is making. Where were they? What is the goal that we have set? And continue to progress monitor to where they are and make any adjustments that we need. So that individualized instruction is so key because we are really looking at the individual need of a student, and we are designing their instruction to bring out their very best, and again, to support the areas of relative weakness.
And for me, when we talk about individualized instruction, or we talk about differentiated instruction, the word that's just glaring is equity, right? That's being equitable, right? As opposed to treating young people as if they all were the same, learn the same experiential background, same adaptation to life, etc. Equity matters, and it's unfortunate. It's shameful that there's so much politics around that word that folks are afraid of it. But good stuff. Let's go to the last round, round three. Dr. Clemons said understanding an IEP in 504. That's probably a whole lecture, a whole day long seminar, right? But I know that wasn't your intent, but I'm sure you could probably do the whole day long seminar on understanding IEP 504. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so this falls into exactly what Crystal was also saying too about individualized instruction. Sometimes we get students who may be struggling and we automatically think they need an IEP, and sometimes it's just a 504. They need the additional accommodation to succeed in the classroom. They not necessarily may need all the different goals to succeed, but John may need multiple choice questions or extended time to turn his homework in because he's struggling with something else at home. That doesn't mean he needs an IEP. Sometimes they just need to be accommodated to get the results that we need. And just as far as an IEP in general, understanding the components of it. Many don't understand the components of it. And I will say, as when I first started and I was given an IEP, and just like, well, why do they have so many goals in this IEP? Like, how do you expect them to achieve this many goals by the end of the year? And so just understanding the present levels of achievement for their student and what it is that you are going to do to help them get to that goal. And I tell parents before, like, if their child ended up needing to be classified in IEP, I'm like, this doesn't stay with them forever. It's just it's a resource. It's help that they need now. Give them the help that they need now, so that they could transition out of this. But you're being a disservice to your child too if they actually do need an IEP, and you're fighting against them getting the IEP. Yeah. And as many people have said in the comments, like, parents need to know too. And I find that a lot of parents, they don't know. So they don't know that they have these rights, or, you know, they should have a copy of the prize, so that they go into these meetings being well informed too, and not just letting someone tell you, well, your child this and your child that, and they're just saying, oh, okay, with no true understanding of it. So an IEP isn't always needed. Sometimes it's just in 504. Yeah. But if you don't fight or you don't ask questions, you can get an entire IEP and you don't really need it, because the goals that they've said that should be a goal, you can actually achieve it with a simple accommodation 504 plan.
Do me this, Dr. Clemons. I'm thinking about the teacher that could be on here right now, classroom teacher that is not an inclusive classroom, that aspires to become an AP, but knows nothing about what a 504 means, right? Just simplify, break that down for that teacher that could be on this call, or we'll see the video later.
Okay, so a 504 is a plan that the school can give a student that also helps them receive a possible service or access to curriculum in a different way. So accommodations, the schools should be providing adequate accommodations to ensure that the child with disability have access to equal equality, to equal education, basically. So the accommodations can be made in several ways: instructional, environmental, or assessment. And so that could look like, well, John has a hard time getting through a lesson sitting in the back of the classroom. Accommodation in his IEP is that he needs to have preferential seating. He needs to sit in front of the classroom. And so just small adjustments like that. And as someone said, students don't always need an IEP, they need better instruction. Yeah. And so I thought that was a great point, because sometimes it is. Like, what are you doing in your classroom to help this student overcome? You know, a thing in teaching, you say if it's 3, then it's me. So if you have all these different students struggling, then you need to also reconsider what you're doing as an instructor in order to help this student succeed. So a 504 is just a plan that says, hey, well, John's not going to fail his test all the time, because you're going to give him past that 20 minutes to finish his test, because that's what he needs, because he needs a little bit more time to think out his thoughts.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go. Alva, you said building self-advocacy in students with disabilities. Now, the difference, you know, we've been talking advocacy since we came on, but here you're saying self-advocacy. So talk to us about that.
So it should not be taboo that a student is a student with disabilities. Oftentimes, one of the things that alarm and scare parents is that I don't want my child to be involved in the IEP meeting. I don't want them to know. Well, and so I do not have a poker face. So I immediately have some perplexion about, why do we not want the student to know? And lawfully, at a certain age, the student has to be involved in the IEP process. That's called transition services. So we have to include the kid in. So now let's build up your capacity to say, you know what? I need more support. I need a break. I'm overstimulated. Let me teach you how to use those skills to speak on behalf. Okay, knowing what accommodations that I do need, or how can I best advocate for myself to make sure that I'm getting the supports I need so that I can come in and be the best person or the best student that I could possibly be. It's nothing taboo or bad or shameful about sharing with a student that they are a student with disabilities and that you require more services and supports, but you get there, you get to the mark, but you require more services and support. There is a way to have that conversation. Piggybacking on Dr. Clemons and some comments that's been popping up, educating parents on it's okay that if you have a student with disabilities, let me show you how to support you, right? Let me best show you how to support you. Let me share with you the big flagrant difference between Section 504 and the IEP, and specifically by state, because in Texas, it can become, the lines can get real blurry in Texas when it comes to a lot of things. But to understand the difference of 504 and special ed, if I say that a student receives special education services, I'm saying that they need specially designed instruction. If I'm saying that a kid needs 504 support, that means that I'm going to give them the accommodation so that they can have access to their general curriculum. But if I'm saying that, hey, this student needs special education services, they need specially designed supports that fall in the area of one of the 13 areas of disability. So they have identified and they need specially designed services in that area. So let me talk to you about that. If you are a student with autism and you have an eligibility for autism, let me talk about how I can build those supports in you as a student, because we know students and adults, just people in general that are on the autism spectrum, there's no one look. That's why it's a spectrum, right? You have high, you have low, that's why it's a spectrum. That's why we incorporated the ideal of it being a wave, right? So now as a student with autism, let me tell you, if you're overstimulated, you can't take the noise. You cannot adapt to having a lecture and somebody writing on the board and a piece of paper. It's too many activities at once for you. But let me tell you how to advocate for yourself. So it's very important that we build that advocacy. And if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this. Yeah. We build the capacity of that student, or even our student that has that emotional disability. I need to be able to, okay, let me go blow my candles out. Oh, Miss Walker taught me how to blow my candles out. I'm going to breathe. Okay, I'm going to breathe. And I'm going to get my breathing techniques, and I'm going to come back before I explode and destroy this classroom. Those are things that we can teach a kid. I had a parent laughing because her senior was blowing his candles out. And she was like, he had his fingers up and he was doing something you taught him. I was like, it's just a breathing technique. And it's called blowing out your candles, but it calmed him down because he wasn't as mad, right? And so those things are teaching those kids about, okay, how do I advocate for myself? How do I make sure that I stand up and I show up for me? Yes, I am different. I'm like the 2 Chainz song. I'm different, right? But now that I'm different, this is what I need because I'm different, right? And that's what we have to do. We have to put that in kids, but it goes back to that hard work. It goes back to having the heart to do it.
Pull up to the scene with my ceiling man. Dr. Clemons said, what he know about that? Because I went to y'all's prom. That's why. No, I keep up with it because I work with educators who got hip hop heads sitting in them classrooms. So I got to stay on top of things, right? We got one more. Crystal, data-driven decision-making enables continuous progress monitoring and the adjustment of instructional strategies to help students meet their IEP goals and reach their full potential. Break it down.
Yes, data is key. I know a lot of the times, sometimes people hear data and they cringe, like more data, but data is what drives our instruction. It is what drives the IEP goals and objectives for students. Knowing where your students are currently performing is gathered by the data. Data can be qualitative data, it can be quantitative. Data looks different. It's not just all academic either. It's your social and emotional and behavioral data as well. looking again at that whole child and being able to make decisions, for that child and what goals they're going to achieve based on what you know about them, and looking at the whole picture. It is so important to continue to monitor that data. Data doesn't just come in assessments either. It comes in the daily work that students are doing, looking at those work samples, being able to, interpret the data and being able to do something with it. It's just not, gathering it, looking at it, and making comments. It's what do you do with that data? How do you, use that data to inform your instruction, your lesson planning for kids? And then, and furthermore, how do you use that data to continuously progress monitor and adjust in order to make sure that kids are moving in the right direction, and that they are moving in a direction that is allowing them to achieve the goals that you have set forth for them, or their goals that they have set out to achieve. So that's.
Let me ask you this, Crystal. So in your capacity, do you have principals in front of you in meetings?
Yes.
Okay. So let's stay with this data-driven decision making. Mm-hmm. What might a conversation sound like coming from Crystal Taft regarding the importance of principals, in turn ensuring that teachers are using data to drive decision making and progress monitoring? What does that sound like when you're talking to administrators?
Mm-hmm. Administrators do believe, I think, in the importance of data and data-driven decision making. I think it is the role of the building administrators then to provide opportunities for their staff to meet, to be able to work together to look at the data across all domains and departments, right? So bringing your general ed teachers, bringing your special education teachers together, bringing your ML department together, bringing your content area department leaders together to really dissect the data for individual students, to look at patterns, to be able to assess what is really happening, and doing it in a manner that is consistent, that is intentional, that really helps to move, what we do with our kids on a daily basis. And so again, for the leaders in front of me, we need to be able to create that space, create that time, also provide some professional learning on how do we really utilize the data in the most effective way to move kids. Having opportunity to look at the curriculum that we're using, or the strategies or the tools that we're using, and having intentional conversation around that, and tying it into the data that's in front of us, and really drawing our attention, like I said, just not to the academics, but to the social and emotional and behavioral components of it as well, which sometimes are a little more difficult to measure. But that's where I think the conversation comes in, and being able to have those face-to-face meetings, because that's where that information comes out. And that's where we can really look to, like I said, make some informed decisions on the direction that we're going in for kids.
Yeah. Let me push you one more time, Crystal. So I'm gonna take you out of the district now, and I want Alva or Dr. Clemons, you all feel free to chime in here. We're on the last one, and then we do those rapid fire questions. But Crystal, you're doing a breakout session. This let me put the your statement back up. You're doing a breakout session at a national conference, and your focus is on everything that's on the screen right now. And after the session, you've got a line of people who come up to you, and they've got specific questions, right? And one of the questions, or concerns, one of the concerns, Crystal, is that the principal says, "I get everything you said. about the need for data. I understand that. But my challenge is the translation to my staff understanding how to analyze, dissect data to the extent that data is being used to drive instruction, to drive decisions. So so I'm principled. I'm talking to you. I understand it theoretically, but my challenge is the translation to teachers being able to do what's expected of them with data. What do you say to that leader?
Yeah. I would say to the leader, bring your teachers together, be transparent about the data. Bring them into, your PLCs, put the data up, on the screen, show your teachers where your kids are performing, and then provide them with examples as to how we could perhaps try some different instructional strategies, in order to, again, help to shift, what we see in front of us. Facilitate those conversations with your team around the data. Have it up there. It's going to make some people uncomfortable because the data may not always look so good. It might highlight certain teachers or staff members. But again, that is going to, I think, motivate the teachers to start listening maybe to their colleagues, do some more professional learning to help better their instructional practices, which could also look at, how do they interpret data and doing deeper dives into, that interpretation. So having it in front of them, being very transparent about, where we're at and where we need to go, and having those conversations about what is it that we need to do? How can I help support you as the building leader to get where you need to be for your kids?
Love it. Love it. Anybody else want to jump in? Feel free, but don't feel obligated.
And that's what we often say, data is raw facts and figures. So getting someone to understand, well, what would you like? Would you like the opinion of something, or would you like facts behind it? So if you're going to say you like facts, then this is why you need to understand the importance of data, and having those different data points. One piece of data doesn't say enough. And then being able to progress monitor is also a key. Someone mentioned earlier in the comments that most of the time we don't have documentation. And that's a huge flag in our education system, that sometimes we do lack the proper documentation for these things. So we just can't go based upon what you're saying. We have to have concrete data to be able to analyze together to see how we can dig deeper or do something different to help our students.
Great stuff. Great information. Great information. Look, y'all, that takes us to the end. Let's go to our rapid fire. These are like one sentence, one word, phrase. If you find yourself inserting a comma, it's too much, right? It's too much. I'm gonna say right. So let's start. Let me go in the same order I've been going. Dr. Clemons, here we go. 7 questions for you. Do you feel that education is currently on the right path for underserved children?
No.
Do you feel that true equity can occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes.
Does Dr. Taneisha Clemons' work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Yes.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
It'll be different.
You are the first person ever to say that. But let's go. Why do you continue to do this work?
Because my heart is in it.
What fires you up within the work you do?
Just seeing smiles. I know you said short, so smiles.
You give me a full sentence.
Smiles. Just seeing students achieve growth.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Oh, that's a good question. The lack of effort sometimes from others when it comes to special education. It's like thrown under the rug.
Very good. Alva, what has been your greatest victory in the work you do?
Seeing the success of students after high school.
What was your greatest mistake in the work you do?
Mismanaging time.
What has been your greatest challenge in the work you do?
Being able to compartmentalize my passion.
Are you proud of your first year as a teacher?
I'm like, yes. That was a hard question.
Are you proud of your first year as a director?
No.
Who inspires you in your work?
Professionally, her name is Joyce Fox Jackson. She's a retired SPED director. Personally, my mother.
What book would you recommend for our fam out there this afternoon?
Of course, one of Principal Cafele's books.
Any of them. No, I'm not saying it for you to say the time. Read them all, y'all.
Yes, just pick any of them. And
Good.
then if you had an opportunity to do a personal read Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Give me that one more time.
Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Y'all got that? All right, here we go. Crystal, what do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet?
I think just continuing, along this path, and being receptive to any opportunities that present themselves that allow me to, again, further broaden my ability to impact students.
Very good. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally now? I don't mean your location. I just mean what you do.
I think there's always opportunities for me to grow. And so I continue to welcome that and continue to want to push myself and challenge myself.
Is there another gear to your leadership, or are you at peak performance now?
Always opportunity to grow.
What would you say to an administrator out there who continues to face closed doors to their next level?
Reflect on your why. Be brave enough to, continue to push and open those doors. And remember, what is in the forefront for you. And for me, again, it's servicing students.
Good stuff. What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
Go back to reflect again on your why and what got you started in the first place, and to surround themselves with people who can continue to motivate them and ignite that fire again.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
I sound like a broken record, but again, I think go back and reflect on your why, your purpose. Continue to think about being the best version of you, and really knowing the impact that you have had and can continue to have.
Good stuff. And lastly, this question's for all three. I'll do one at a time though. If Crystal Taft was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
If I was a word, you want the word or the?
No, you give me a definition.
Okay, I will say loyal, and for me, that is someone who is dedicated, who is trustworthy, and respects those who I surround myself with.
If Taneisha Clemons, Dr. Taneisha Clemons, was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
I would say a fighter.
Fighter. And if Alva Walker was a word in the dictionary, what would be your definition?
So if you looked up Alva Walker in the dictionary, you would find resource. that no matter how or why or when, she was a resource. So resource is my word.
Love it. Let me clap you up, all three of you. Good, great job, phenomenal job, extraordinary job. To the fam out there, you already know how we applaud our guests, and the fam that goes way back has already started. But to those of you who may be new to the platform or may have followed one of our three guests, we applaud our guests by simply putting your favorite emojis up. Just give us your favorite emojis, give us several of them, and that lets us know as to whether or not this session resonated with you, if it was useful to you, if it was beneficial to you, if you could incorporate what you heard into your practice, or if it was just good stuff. And I actually use an emoji too, this bat that they gifted me with at Jefferson County out in Louisville. So y'all came to the plate as I'm wearing my New York Black Yankees alternate jersey today, and you hit it out the park. Grand slam every time you came to bat. Right out of the stadium, the New York Black Yankees actually played home games in Yankee Stadium. So in part, they also played in Patterson at Hincliffe Stadium, Patterson, New Jersey. So yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. This was great stuff, man. Great stuff. Taneisha, I don't know if you speak professionally yet, and that's growth mindset yet. Maybe you do. But maybe folks, and I called you Taneisha, Dr. Clemons, but maybe folks still want to reach out to you and get some further insight. Maybe they want to follow you on social media. Maybe you're getting ready to write that book, whatever it is. How do they reach you in terms of, and you don't have to give all your specific information, but just how can they catch up to you like I did on social media so that they can get more insight from you if need be?
You can reach out to me on Facebook. My email address also is TaneishaClemons@gmail.com. If you want to learn more about what I do, I'm also a program manager for the state of New Jersey Tutoring Corps. So if you're a district in New Jersey or Pennsylvania and your school is looking to have embedded school day tutoring in your district, you can also contact me about that.
Oh, there it is. So there, that's the presenting part. So yeah, get in touch with her, y'all. Get in touch with her. Alva is, I know, is a professional presenter in addition to the work she does in the district. So Alva, how do they reach you?
All right. So my name's Alva Walker. I'm on all social media platforms. But if you want to email me about programming, professional development, or just needs assessments for your programs, you can reach me at spedismyjam@gmail.com. Again, Sped is my jam. JAM stands for Journey in Ministry. And so it is my journey in my ministry. And so you can reach me there, or again, my name is Alva Walker on all social media platforms.
Love it. And then Crystal, you doing any professional speaking yet?
I am not.
Growth mindset. Yeah. Right. We'll talk off camera how we make sure we get y'all in these conferences. So go ahead. How did it get in touch with you?
I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have in regards to the special education field. You can reach me via email at ctaft25@comcast.net. And again, my name is Crystal Taft.
Good stuff. And Dr. Clemons, that's one of your Zeta sisters there, Donna Gant. And it's a few of them on here, actually. Yep. Good stuff. Let me get my screen back. There we go. So let me close this out, and y'all stay on so we can holler off camera for a couple minutes. But let me close this out. Hey, to the fam out there, appreciate y'all. Appreciate you being here for week 269. Next week, Dr. Marcus Jackson is on with me every last Saturday of the month. We're exhausting his book, his latest book, Essential Systems for School Success. So join us as we continue to pick apart this book. Next week number 270, Dr. Marcus Jackson. Make sure you tune in to Facebook Live every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. We got a whole lineup. Fantastic Four. Sean Hurd at 10 Eastern. These are all Eastern times. Create and Educate with Dr. Shika Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor. at 10:30, AP and New Principals Academy with myself at 10:55. And then Sunday, the PDP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno at 5 o'clock Eastern, right? So make sure you check us out. Once again, let me just throw this on the screen for you. If you don't have a copy yet, let's see where we at. Yeah, get yourself a copy. And let me get myself on the screen. Get yourself a copy. It's selling like hotcakes, y'all. It's incredible. Particularly the volume of school districts that are buying it for the entire administrative leadership team. It's incredible. It's a blessing. I thank God. I praise God for the way this book is moving, because as I always say, this is the most important book I've ever written. I take extreme pride in every book I've written, but there's something about this one, right? This is critical. As we talk about instructional leadership, instructional coaching. So get yourself a copy. You can go to Amazon right now, or you can go to ascd.org, the publisher, get yourself a copy. Speaking of ASCD, I have a pre-conference session. You know, the ASCD annual conference is coming up on in June, late June. I'm there for 2 days, June 28th in San Antonio. If you're coming to the conference, go ahead and register for my pre-conference on maximizing your administrative leadership team. Once again, maximizing your administrative leadership team. Join me in San Antonio. It's a Sunday, June 29. I'm going from 8 to 1. And then on June 30th, I'm doing a session called What is My same as the book, What is My Value Instructionally to the teachers I supervise. But then I'm going to do a book signing immediately following. And then I'm going to get on out of there, right? So come join me the 28th, 29th of June, but also join me at the United Conference, which is coming up soon in July. I'm on July 12th. It's in Seattle. So I'll be live doing the Saturday Academy, and then I'll be running over to the Convention Center to speak on what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise. I'm doing a breakout session. Last year, they gave me 1,000-seat room, and the people were sitting all over the floors, standing in the aisles. It was so packed. So I'm hoping that we're going to have another big one like that with 1,000 or more in that breakout session. And we're going to be talking about instructional leadership, instructional coaching. Also, Innovative Schools Summit. I wish I had them dates in front of me, but Innovative Schools Summit in Las Vegas, I'm keynoting that. So come join me in Vegas at the Caesars Palace. Just Google it. Just put Innovative Schools Summit, and then it'll come up. And I'm keynoting that. I think it's something like July 10, I think, something like that. So come join me there. Then the school, I'll have these written next week. The Making Schools Work Conference is in New Orleans. I got a big session down there. I might have 2, I'm not sure, but I'll be there, right? So just Google that, Making Schools Work. And then obviously the School Leadership Institute, July 15 and 16. Y'all don't ask me about other places, because everywhere else I'm speaking throughout the summer is those are schools and districts. So those are not open to the public. I'm giving you the public ones, but everything else is and I'm speaking just about every day between now and August. I took maybe 5 days off, but join me at some of them public conferences, right? I'll have the listing written next week. I should have it on my website, but I've been the word lazy is not the right word. I'm overwhelmed right now. That's the word. I'm overwhelmed, right? I've worked yesterday home from 8 till 10 o'clock at night, right? I'm overwhelmed. So I'll try to get them on there, but y'all Google it, man. You know, we live in the Google age, and now you put, where's Principal Kafele speaking, that little AI feature they got on Google, it'll tell you everywhere I'm speaking, right? So just do that. Where we at? Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We just about at 24,000 subscribers. We're at 23,950 something, I think. So that's a lot. But it's 300,000 administrators in America, so I still want more. But 23,000, that's a blessing, man. 23,000 following the kid from Jersey, man, East Orange at that. I'm grateful. 23,900 something. Visit principalkafele.com for additional resources. And then lastly, hey, y'all, your diet. Handle that. Your diet. Your exercise. Handle that. I did 3. I walked these Jersey City streets at a fast pace, man. I do it fast and get in like 3 miles. I don't mess with the gym when the weather's hot, right? So just get out there and get that exercise in. And then lastly, your virus precautions, right? Make sure you're taking care of your body. But it's a lot out here. I told you when I did that recording, I was sick. That's because I wasn't wearing no mask on the plane, man. I caught somebody's mess, right? So make sure that you are taking care of you. And then when you take care of you, you are in better position to take care of those students of yours. So with that said, y'all stay on. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Flip it. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see y'all next week. You know, let me say this real quick, y'all. Y'all know I always got a little something at the end, right? I got something. A lot of people in the audiences, they say, how come you didn't say bam today, right? I be forgetting, man, right? But I always close this out with it. But that bam, that's my hashtag, that's my trademark. It means so many things. I ain't got time to explain it, but it means a lot of different things, personal and professional. But that bam matters, man. So bam, I see y'all next Saturday for week 270. Deuces.